I find myself posing this question to friends and to myself quite frequently. What is wrong with our dating culture? It's a hot topic issue that has permeated our collective psyche for some time now, especially with the advent of social media. I'm sure you've all heard by now all the crazy statistics of men opting out of dating, and how marriage and birth rates are in rapid decline. And sure, there's a plethora of reasons and theories as to why we've run into this standstill. But I want to look at this issue from a psychological perspective, specifically a jungian lens, because the more I thought about it from this point of view, the more sense it seemed to make. There's a couple of points I will touch on that I believe will give us a better understanding of the whole picture. But to begin, let's start with the basic understanding of Carl Jung's concept of the anima and animus, as these two will essentially be the psychological framework that will be the basis for this video. For those unfamiliar with the anima and animus, to keep it short and simple, the anima is the feminine aspect within all men, and the animus is the masculine aspect within all women. Whether you are male or female, how you relate to your inner opposite will undoubtedly affect the way you perceive and interact with the opposite sex in your day-to-day life. If you've been romantically single within the last decade or more, there's a good chance you've used a dating app or some other form of social media app. My belief is that dating and social media apps are largely to blame for our dating fiasco. From a Jungian perspective, online dating can be seen as an externalization of the unconscious. Remember, our shadow lies within the unconscious. All of our repressed traits and desires are being exposed and running rampant on these apps. But what do I mean by this? When we engage in online dating, we are unconsciously projecting our idealized anima or animus onto potential suitors. The problem here is simple. Idealizing is not reality. We are habitually seeking that which is non-existent, this perfect partner. It's why we are unable to commit. The apps have gamified dating. Individuals have been reduced to commodities. Real human connection has been opted out in favor of endless swiping. So how then will you not be disappointed? We have been led to believe that there will always be better options available, just to swipe away. We have created the ultimate illusion. Now the male response to this dilemma has been to avoid dating altogether. I see this as indicative of a male collective repression of the anima. In Jungian psychology, when the anima is undeveloped, a man perceives women as either unattainable ideals or as threats. When a man has a negative anima, he becomes resentful, avoiding all intimacy and engaging only superficially, hence the rise in online adult content. On the flip side, women have developed an overly idealized animus. The issue here is that no man can reach this idealized Superman status, with all the confidence, wealth, emotional depth, ambition, and strength that is expected of them. This impossible standard that has been created through the use of online dating and social media apps results in a mass rejection of potential male suitors by women. It's no surprise by now that our modern dating culture has largely done away with traditional masculine and feminine archetypes. Jung believed that cultures go through shifts in how archetypes are expressed. But this doing away has only led to confusion in gender roles and expectations. One example of a powerful archetype that has become obsolete is the classic hero archetype. This absolving of a mature, self-sacrificing form of masculinity has resulted in an alienation of men and a disconnection from their true purpose. In the external world, men have retreated into isolation, opting for a solo life, free of the chaos that accompanies relationships. On the flip side, women's hyper-independence is the undoing of the Sophia archetype, or the wisdom-bearing femininity. While we deem independence valuable, the detached warrior feminine results in an inability to establish an emotional bond and deep relational trust with their partner. Jung highlighted the importance of the sacred union, or the integration of masculine and feminine energies within the self. For him, this was the psychological and spiritual ideal to strive for. Sadly, modern dating has lost this ideal and replaced it with relationships driven by fleeting attraction, power struggles, and ego validation. In Jungian psychology, the goal of love is to unite the opposites, both within and between two people. The purpose of our relationships isn't to fulfill superficial desires. It's to challenge and push us towards transformation, towards wholeness. Without the mythic or symbolic understanding of love, people will continue to be dissatisfied and unfulfilled in their dating and romantic lives. So what's the solution? Well, both men and women have their roles to play in this. For one, men must learn to master their emotional psyche. This can be done through traditional therapy, art, journaling, reading, music, etc. Instead of retreating to forms of escapism, men must engage the real world by developing hobbies, taking risks, and building a personal sense of purpose. Secondly, remember women are complex individuals, so treat them as such. They aren't just projections of your fantasy, so avoid the extreme idealization of women. And take responsibility for your own growth, because at the end of the day, no one will do it for you. For women, learn to distinguish between the fantasy of your ideal man and a real, flawed partner. Good relationships are built, not found. Take the time to develop a conscious relationship with your animus. All the traits you desire in a partner, ask yourself, do I embody these traits? Femininity should be seen as a strength and not a weakness, as we've been taught in modern society. Vulnerability, intuition, and relational wisdom are not signs of dependence, but of power. Realize that allowing space for masculine energy in your relationships isn't a sign of submitting. It's the recognition that polarity is essential for attraction and depth. As with so much in life, it's about balance. Finally, for both men and women, strive to develop more organic connections via hobbies, communities, events, and social circles, as opposed to relying solely on dating apps. The apps only perpetuate our negative biases and beliefs about the opposite sex. And I know we've all heard this before a million times, but do the inner work before seeking a relationship. A relationship isn't meant to cover up your flaws or fill inner voids. View a relationship as a chance to grow together. At this point in time, we are a Western society disconnected from deeper meaning, devoid of anything spiritually or psychologically fulfilling. This doesn't mean having to revert back to our old, outdated model of dating, but rather in acknowledging and undertaking the necessary journey of self-integration. In doing so, we can approach our romantic relationships with self-awareness, depth, and a greater sense of purpose.